Good morning, children. Welcome to the English class. Today, we are going to start the Unit 4, which is about fun and humor. And we are going to learn a new story, which is Chapter 5, The Tale of Peter Rabbit. So this story, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, was written by the famous English writer, Helen Beatrix Potter. Helen Beatrix Potter is an English author from Britain, and she celebrated her country life and the landscape through her books. She was a vivid lover of nature and animals, and this is evident in her books for children. So today, let's see what this story is about. So all of you please take your English reader and turn to page number 64. So the story, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, is a story that narrates the tale of a naughty rabbit named Peter who never listened to his mother. So in spite of his mother's warning, one day he went to Mr. McGregor's farm to feast on the vegetables that he were growing there. And what happened? Mr. McGregor spots him and chases him. Peter runs for his life and manages to get back to the safety of his rabbit hole. But after this incident, he feels unwell, but his family takes care of him. And after that, he apologizes to his mother for not listening to her. So let's read the story of Peter Rabbit and see what all he went through. Now, I hope all of you have opened your textbook and turned to page number 64. And there is a warm-up session given there. Let's read that question. Do you have a naughty friend? Tell your elbow partner about the naughty things that your friend does. So this one you can do as a warm-up session with your friend or family. Now let's enjoy the story. 4 little rabbits, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail and Peter, lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a big fir tree. So what is a sandbank? A sandbank is a deposit of sand on the river bank. So along the sides of a river, you can see sandbanks. So these 4 little rabbits, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail and Peter, lived with their mother. With whom? With their mother underneath the root of a big fir tree. Now let's see their conversation. Their mother is telling them, "Run along, my dears. Remember, don't get up to any mischief. Don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden." So what did their mother warn them? Their mother warned them to not get into any mischief and never go to Mr. McGregor's garden. And what happened next? Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail, who always listened to their mother, went to gather blackberries. So there were 4 children to this rabbit mother, and who were they? Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail and Peter. So Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail always listen to their mother, whereas Peter never. So after their mother warned them, Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail went to gather some blackberries. Peter though ran straight to Mr. McGregor's garden, where he ate some lettuce and some French beans. Then, feeling a little sick, he went to look for some parsley. Like I said before, Peter never listened to his mother. And what did he do next? Instead of going with his siblings to gather blackberries, he ran straight to Mr. McGregor's garden. And there he ate what? There he ate lettuce and some French beans that Mr. McGregor was growing in his farm. But he ate too much, it seems. He started feeling a little sick. So to make himself feel better, he thought he'll eat some parsley and started looking for parsley, which is a leaf. And what happened next? Just around the end of a cucumber frame, he saw Mr. McGregor, who angrily jumped up and ran after him. "Stop, thief!" See what happened? Mr. McGregor spotted Peter Rabbit and he started chasing him. And he called Peter a thief for stealing vegetables from his garden. Peter was incredibly frightened. He ran as fast as he could around the garden, trying to find the way back to the gate. So Mr. McGregor was chasing him and Peter started running for his life. He was so frightened and he ran as fast as he could to get out of the garden. But then what happened? Peter ran into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his new red jacket. So Peter was wearing this new red jacket and it had big buttons on it. So as he was trying to escape from the garden, he got stuck. His buttons, the buttons of his new red jacket got caught on a gooseberry net. So let's see what happened next. Please turn to page number 66. Mr. McGregor came up with a rake, but Peter wriggled out of his jacket just in time and took off across the garden again. So what happened? See, you see a new word there, rake. And what does that mean? Rake is a tool to remove leaves from the ground. You can see the picture here. This is called a rake, which is used to remove leaves from a garden. Maybe the fallen leaves on the ground in a garden. So as he was trying to escape from the garden, Mr. McGregor came up with a rake. But Peter somehow got out of the gooseberry net. How did he get out of the gooseberry net? He took off his red jacket. Why? Because the buttons of this red jacket were caught in this gooseberry net. So he just took off his red new jacket and he managed to escape from there. Peter Rabbit rushed into a tool shed and jumped into a can that was unfortunately full of water. So he was running frantically and he accidentally jumped into a can in an attempt to escape. But that can was filled with water. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed. So Peter was hiding in this can filled with water which was kept in a tool shed. So Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. So there were flower pots kept in the tool shed. And Mr. McGregor suspected that Peter was hiding somewhere underneath a flower pot. So he carefully turned them over, looking under each one. Then Peter sneezed. Quite a shoo! What happened? So Mr. McGregor was looking for Peter underneath every flower pot which was kept in the tool shed. But was Peter there? No. Peter was not under any of the flower pots there. He was in a can filled with water. So he got wet, he felt cold and he started sneezing. Let's see what happened. Then Mr. McGregor was soon after him and tried to catch Peter, who jumped out of a window. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor and he was tired of running after Peter. So what happened? So when Mr. McGregor heard him sneezing, he immediately spotted him lying in the can filled with water. So he started chasing him again and Peter was running for his life and he managed to get out of the tool shed through a window, but that window was too small for Mr. McGregor to get through. And he was also tired after chasing him for a long time. Peter Rabbit moved from one place to the other looking for the gate. Unfortunately, he had lost his way and could not get out of the garden. So he was running frantically here and there in an attempt to escape from the garden. But he was not able to find his way out. He lost his way in the garden. Let's see what happened next. He asked a rat for directions. Ma'am, could you tell me the way to the main road? No, I can't. He even asked a cat. Don't disturb me, I'm busy. So he was trying to get out of the garden and he saw a rat in the garden. And he asked this rat if she can help him to get to the main road. But then the rat replied that she cannot help him. And Peter even asked a cat if he can help him. But even the cat told him that he is busy and he is not able to help him. So what happened next? Suddenly, he saw Mr. McGregor hoeing his onion patch and just beyond him was the gate. Peter sprinted across the onion patch and slipped under the gate. Thank God, I found the gate. Let me run home to Mother. But then what happened? Peter saw Mr. McGregor hoeing his onion patch. And what do you mean by hoeing? There is this tool called hoe that people use to turn around the soil in a garden. So Mr. McGregor was hoeing. That means he's using this tool to turn the soil in his garden. And where? He was hoeing his onion patch. Onion patch means a place where the onion plants are growing in thick dens. Onion patch is a place where the onion plants are growing in dense thickness. So Mr. McGregor was hoeing his onion patch and Peter saw the gate was just beyond him. And what did Peter do? Peter sprinted across the onion patch and slipped under the gate. So he sprinted means he ran so fast bypassing Mr. McGregor and he managed to slip under the gate. Thank God, I found the gate. Let me run home to Mother. So now he knows that he should have listened to his mother. And he says, thank God. He's thanking God that he is safe. And he was out of the gate and he was going back to his mother. Peter flopped down on the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. So he managed to get back to the safety of his rabbit hole. And then his mother asked him, why, Peter, what's the matter? And what did Peter reply? I got lost in Mr. McGregor's garden. I'm sorry, Mother. I should have listened to your warning. So he started feeling sorry that he was not listening to his mother before. So when he got back to his rabbit hole, his mother asked him what happened, what was the matter? And he replied, he got lost in Mr. McGregor's garden and that he is sorry that he should have listened to his mother instead. And what happened next? I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well that night. His mother put him to bed and made him some tea. Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail had bread, milk and blackberries for supper. So what happened? After this incident, Peter was so frightened when Mr. McGregor was chasing him. He got so frightened that he fell ill after this incident. So when he got back his home, his mother took great care of him to recover from the incident. So while he was taking rest and his mother made him some tea to make him feel better, his siblings Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail had bread, milk and blackberries for supper. He should have listened to his mother and he also could have had a great dinner. So children, I hope you really enjoyed the story. You can read the story again and again. And there are a few more books which are written by Helen Beatrix Potter, which portrays interesting stories about animals. So I suggest if you can get hold of these books, please read these stories as well. The name of these stories are written in page number 68 of your textbook, and there is also a short note given about the author there. Please go through it. So that's all for today, children. We'll meet in the next class. Till then, bye.